Today I am in Lisbon, Portugal, and I went here to do some macro photography, and I'm so excited because I haven't seen live insects in a while. Whoops. And today we're gonna try something very exciting. Nick Sherlock, who made some famous adapters previously, has come up with a new adapter. In this video I'm gonna talk about how it performs and yeah, just have some fun shooting some insects. So let's see what kind of gear we have today. Today I decided to try double dirt diffusers, because when I tried them briefly on a lamp it looked like they gave a lot better diffusion than one. So let's see how this works. And this is how the lens looks. Kind of cute, right? So basically Nick Sherlock just made a shorter adapter for this $20 microscope lens, which gives it a little bit less magnification. It should be around 2 times magnification, which I personally think is perfect, like optimal for insect photography. And then I have this cute little lens hood as well that Nick made. You can put on like this, and yeah, the diffuser will not fit that well, but it will hopefully work. Was the best I could find today with the stuff I had with me to Lisbon. And then finally my regular flash, the Micael MK320. So let's see what we can do with this setup. I'm gonna begin with a couple of simple test shots just to see how the exposure looks and so on, so that I'm ready when I find the really interesting insects. So now I'm using 132 in strength on the flash, which I can get away with surprisingly, and I use ISO 100 and 1/250 in shutter speed, and these settings seem to produce good exposures. But today it is slightly overcast, but it is very bright outside, so maybe that helps. But I can see that I get some beautiful colors. Also, I'm not sure what the actual aperture is on this lens. Maybe the aperture is very wide, and maybe that helps as well. Yeah, I'll take some more shots and we will see how they look. Such a beautiful view here. Almost looks like the Golden Gate Bridge. At least it gives me those associations. It's the first time I am in Lisbon, and it's a beautiful city. Very typical Southern European city. Only problem with filming in this particular area is that there are airplanes coming in constantly towards the airport, so sorry about that. And also it's pretty windy, so there might be a lot of wind noise in this video. I hope you can still hear me. I found these cute little babies to, I think in Sweden we call them skinnbagge or riddarskinnbagge or something. But these are obviously children of those, very cute. But yeah, that's one thing that's really noticeable with this lens, that the aperture seems to be quite wide. Which is a bit of a problem, because you pretty much need to focus stack to get any kind of depth in your photos. On the other hand, I personally really like the style with extremely thin depth of field. The photo becomes a little bit more abstract, a little simpler, a little bit more colorful in some cases. So I don't hate it. And I really like that the lens is so extremely lightweight. It weighs pretty much nothing, and it's very thin and very short, so that's, I think, is a really good property of a macro lens. So I kind of like it so far. So the working distance is of course pretty short. I personally don't see that as a problem. It just makes it easier, I think, to find your subject in the viewfinder, because you just have to point at it. Also makes it easier when you're trying to hold the subject with one hand and shoot with the other. But yeah, what is the working distance? Let's see. I'm focusing on this flower here. Yeah, it's like 3 or 4 centimeters, like what you would typically expect from a 2x magnification macro lens. I'm seeing now that the light is so good here that I can even take photos with this lens without a flash and get pretty good results. So when I made videos earlier about Nick Sherlock's different adapters for microscope lenses, people asked me like, can you sell me this adapter? Like, where can I buy it? And up until now it has not been possible to buy this adapter. You would have to print it yourself. And also people ask like, how do I buy this microscope lens, where can I get it, and so on. But now I can announce that Nick Sherlock actually started selling both these microscope lenses and the adapters as a kit. So you can order the whole kit yourself. You don't need to print it if you don't have a 3D printer. So that's really nice. And this is not a sponsored video. I just think that Nick Sherlock is a great guy. He has done so much for this YouTube channel by providing interesting adapters and lenses and designs that I've made videos about that became very popular. So I just wanna give him a shout out and recommend that you buy the adapters and the lenses from him. Link in the description. If you shoot with a manual flash like I do, you have to adjust the strength depending on the color of the flower. If it's like a bright flower, like a yellow or white one, you probably need to decrease the flash strength a bit to get the good exposure. This is not something I think about too much. It becomes like a habit after a while. But that is pretty much the only time I need to change the strength of the flash. That is when there is a bright surface that the insect is sitting on. Oh man, after so many months of darkness and winter in Sweden, it feels so great to be in a place like this. Literally a macro photographer's paradise. This is where I feel the most happy, where I feel alive, where I feel creative. I really love this. Now I'm in some kind of forest part of this big park. Let's see if we can find anything here. What's great about this little lens hood is that... Let the plane pass. What is great about this little lens hood that Nick made is that it does not have any internal reflections. He prints in a very, very matte material. I don't even know what it is called, but it is great for these kind of adapters and lens hoods. The original lens hood, or what you should call it, that is made out of metal that comes with this microscope lens, is pretty reflective, so it could possibly hurt your contrast. So yeah, this lens hood is perfect. It looks nice as well. This is a very nice park. I haven't learned what it is called yet, but I will put the name here. So if you ever visit Lisbon and want to do some macro photography, this is a good place to go. Beautiful stink bug. What I love about going here to do macro photography is that most of the insects I recognize, they are pretty much the same as in Sweden, but they have slightly different colors, slightly different movement patterns, and for me that's exciting. Alright, I think we got ourselves some good sample photos, so let's go to the studio and my analysis after looking at the photos more closely. So I now realize that I did a pretty poor job at explaining the whole setup in the beginning of the video. Basically what this is a 3D printed adapter that makes you able to put a cheap $25 microscope lens on your regular camera to do macro photography. Earlier, Nick Sherlock, this guy who makes this adapter, made a 4x magnification adapter for this microscope lens, which is the native magnification of the lens. But my feedback on that was that it was a bit impractical to use for insect photography out in the field. And now in this video, I looked at his 2x magnification adapter for the same microscope lens. Anyway, I think the photos came out great. It's really good sharpness. Pretty much perfect sharpness. My only criticism of this setup is really that the aperture is a bit too wide on this microscope lens, so you get extremely thin depth of field. But that is not something you can do anything about because it's a microscope lens, it has a fixed aperture. Still though, for the money, which is almost no money at all, if you order from Nick Sherlock's site, you can get both the lens and the adapter for $60 plus shipping. It's super cheap to play around with this kind of magnification, so I would definitely recommend that if you want to try this kind of photography, and then if you love it you can buy a more serious lens later. And of course you can print the adapter yourself if you want to save some money. If you have a 3D printer or access to one, you can just download the model files for free. They are linked here. Or if you are a bit more lazy or if you don't have a 3D printer, you can just order both the adapter and the lens from Nick Sherlock's website. I had a lot of contact with Nick Sherlock when he made adapters previously, and he seems like a really trustworthy guy, so I think it should be fine to order from him. I can recommend it. And yeah, do check out a video about the other adapter, the 4x magnification adapter video. If you're curious about that one. And do subscribe if you like macro photography. See you soon again.